Hey everyone, this is Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and today we are looking at the Daredevil fighter from the Unmatched system of games. Now, Daredevil is one of the licensed Marvel characters from the Hell's Kitchen set, along with Elektra and Bullseye. And we can see that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, the lawyer who is blind, but his other senses are so good that he can detect things all around him way better than pretty much anybody that can actually see. And he goes out into Hell's Kitchen and fights crime. So he fights crime, and then he shows up in the courtroom to do good things there as well. Really noble guy, this Matt Murdock. And we see on here the classic Daredevil suit with the Daredevil logo, his weapons that he is known for having there. So let's take a look at this character card here for Daredevil. Daredevil is a melee fighter with a health of 17 and a move of 3. So his special ability, during combat, if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, you may blind boost your attack or defense. If you have other during combat effects, choose the order. Okay, so to clarify a few things here. Blind boost means you take the top card off of your deck, you flip it over, and that right there gets added to it. That's the boost. So you're basically losing that card off the top of your deck, but adding its value to the card that you have there. This is a during combat, so this happens during the during combat phase. And if you have some other during combat effect, like something that changes the value of the card, you get to choose when it happens so that you're adding after it moves that value up there. Also important to notice is that if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, that is going to be during combat. So the card that you will have just played does not count as part of your hand because that's out of your hand. So if you were attacking or are attacked when you have 3 cards in hand, that card that goes out of your hand would bring you down to 2, and you could use your blind boost ability. All right, we're going to take a look at Deadpool's deck here, and immediately we're going to notice something funky about his deck here. Let's go grab Bullseye's deck here just for comparison. One of these things is not like the other. Yeah, Deadpool has a smaller deck. It is not the same size as your standard 30-card Unmatched deck. So how much shorter is it? Well, Deadpool has 22 cards instead of a full 30. Well, that sounds kind of weird. Why is that? Well, there are reasons for that, and we will get into that here really quick. And that is because, as we will see with this first card that comes up here, Daredevil can recur his cards. How much can he recur his cards? Well, let's take a look here and see. Devil of Hell's Kitchen. This is an attack of 4. During combat, if you have no cards in your deck, the value of this card is 8 instead. After combat, shuffle this card and the top 4 cards of your discard pile into your deck. Okay, so a few things to look at here. First of all, this during combat, this is if you have no cards in your deck. This is not your hand, this is your deck. So if your deck has run low and you're playing this boosts up to an 8. The second half to this is going to be the after combat effect of shuffle this card and the top 4 cards of your discard pile into your deck. So 4 cards at the top of your discard pile, shuffle into your deck, and this card shuffles into your deck, which means the card that brings cards back out of your discard pile goes back into your deck to be replayed. You've got 2 copies of these, so that comes out, you'll play it, it'll go back in. He could just keep bringing cards back into his deck pretty much infinitely, or as long as he wants to do it there. Now, if they both get fainted, that could give you some trouble. Although, we'll see here in a minute, there are some ways around that. Let's take a look at this next card here and we'll see what we got. This next card is Breather. There are 3 copies of Breather. Choose an attack, defense, or versatile card from your discard pile and return it to your hand. So this is a scheme that lets you return anything aside from a scheme back to your hand. So you can't pull this card back out, but you can grab any other card out of your discard pile and it goes straight into your hand. That would be one way that if these both get fainted, you got some ways to bring them back, because these obviously are going to land if you play it. Those don't get canceled being a scheme, although there are ways to lose it. Next we'll go to an attack of 2, Man Without Fear. During combat you may blind boost this attack. This is in addition to any blind boost from Daredevil's special ability. So you can boost with this and bump this up to like a 4 or a 5, and if Daredevil had 2 cards in hand, you could boost a second time and bring that 4 or 5 now up to like 6, 7, or 8 or something. So that can really go up there a lot in the right circumstances. A defense card here, Son of a Boxer, 3 value. If you lost to combat, deal 2 damage to a fighter adjacent to Daredevil. Well, it's just a way to deal some damage back. This is not quite like a counterpunch because it's not automatic. You do have to lose the combat. Through adversity, 3 copies of this. Move Daredevil up to 4 spaces. He may move through opposing fighters. Deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter Daredevil moves through. This is pretty much like Stallion Charge by Scheme. It's only 4 spaces, but he just gets to run through people and damage them. Since this is a scheme, this card cannot be pulled back by Breather because Breather doesn't let you do that, which is an interesting thing that goes on here, although they can still be recurred through Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Grappling Hook, yes, Daredevil is known for his grappling hook. A versatile 3. After combat, move Daredevil up to 2 spaces. Just a good way to get some movement effects there, because movement effects are always good. Take a Knee. After combat, discard the top card of your deck. Recover health equal to its boost value. This is pretty much blind boosting for health. You take the top card off your deck, flip it over, and you gain that much health on it. You have 3 copies of that, which can do a lot. And of course, when it starts getting pulled back by Devil of Hell's Kitchen, these could start coming out multiple times. And so not only can like his whole deck recycle through there, but he can also keep recycling these health cards there pretty much infinitely. So yeah. And finally, Faint. A versatile 2, immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. You're familiar with this. Well, that's not a lot of cards, so we blew through this deck here pretty quick. And while this is a shorter deck that doesn't take you a long time to go through, the ramifications of what is going on in this is pretty massive. Obviously, these 2 cards right here are going to be huge for being able to do well as Daredevil. You're going to need to get some cards in your discard pile. You're going to have to play these off, and you're going to have to try to not get them fainted. So these being fainted is one thing that could cause you problems. However, some other ways that you could lose these. Well, anything that has like a discard effect, like an ambush, can end up pulling these out of your hand, or anything that lets your opponent just look at your hand and pull it out. Because believe me, if Sherlock or Giles can take a look at your hand and they see this card in there, it's probably getting yanked out. That is why Breather is really important, that it allows you to pull those cards back in if you lose them for some reason, or if it gets fainted, you have some other ways to play it. So probably when you play this card, you need to, if you're playing someone that has feints, you've got to try to catch them when they don't have feints in their hand. Try to bluff out some feints with some of these other cards. Use those as attacks to pull those out, or make sure you have a breather in your hand so you can pull it right back out. If you use this to grab that, they're going to know that you have it in there. So when they see an attack coming, after you pull it back with a breather, they're probably going to try to feint it if they have a feint, because they want to stop Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Once you start kind of getting a whole cycle going of recycling your cards, then breather can start being used for other things. So another thing to think about when you play Devil of Hell's Kitchen is what 4 cards you have on the top of your discard pile. This does mean that you have to pay attention to your discard pile, and you have to keep it in order. There's people that love to spread the cards out as they play, so they can tell which ones have been played. They really like this, particularly online in TTS, and it's really popular to do that in Vorpal, since they don't have a managed discard pile as an option yet. So yeah, you're going to have to make sure you keep that discard pile in order there, and you got to make sure you keep track of what's in there, that you know what's in it, so that you can get the cards back that you want when you play Devil of Hell's Kitchen. Cards that are good to have recycle back in there, of course, would be Breather, would be great to get back in there. I think Take a Knee, to where you can just keep getting health back, is going to be really huge. A lot of these others can start being used situationally. Son of a Boxer is good a lot of times. Through Adversity may be good if you're worried about someone like Raptors who want to come up and pin you. Sometimes you just have to get the cards that are in your discard pile in there, and you don't get to be picky. And if you can keep this thing showing up every time you loop with Devil of Hell's Kitchen, it's just going to be hard to take this guy down. Which means that folks are going to try to run at Daredevil and take him down very early, because if you're going to be able to take him down, you've got to get him before he has a chance to kind of get this, loop going there. If he gets that going, it's just going to be lights out, game over. So some downsides we can see here, if we take a look at it, most of his values are generally pretty low. Now that is going to be because of that blind boost ability. As we know, Devil of Hell's Kitchen can go up to an 8, but that's, you've got to have your deck empty, so you've got to let that thing play down and then do this. And that's a dangerous way to play, but it has a huge payoff on it there. Of course, this one, if you're willing to double blind boost, you can do it. And you can see on his defenses, he doesn't have a defense that has a value on it above 3. Son of a Boxer, Grappling Hook, and Take a Knee are all at 3, and Feint is at a 2. So unless you're using that blind boost ability, you're really not soaking up a lot of damage with your defense cards there. But yeah, it makes Daredevil a very unique player here, that if he can get things going, he isn't going to run out of cards in his deck and isn't going to exhaust. I mean, he's a guy that could start giving Invisible Man exhaustion issues, and it's going to make him a really difficult guy to deal with. So, what do you guys think about Daredevil? What cards do you think you need to try to loop with Devil of Hell's Kitchen? What ones do you want to bring back into your deck right away? Do you have any other thoughts or strategies for him that you want to point out? Well, go ahead and leave those down in the comments and give this video a thumbs up. Also, you can check out all the videos that I have on my channel so you can see everything that I post and not miss any of it. We'll see you around next time.